Welcome back to another episode of NFL News on the Boom Bust channel. I'm your host Terry, and today I'm going to talk about Lamar Jackson. So I've talked about Lamar before. For those who have listened, I'm going to say some things that I've said before to set the context, and then we'll get into last night and everything. So for those that might be new, I've talked about Lamar a number of times. I've talked about him, and I've talked about kind of the surrounding conversation with Lamar Jackson. So much like any player or any team, in today's discourse and sports media and with fandom, any criticism is considered hate. You're hating on somebody. You're a hater if you say anything that's not positive. And to be honest, because those that know me, I don't play online with these trolls and bullies. I go toe to toe. I'll make time. And so I've been in plenty of discussions, we'll say that, all across the board, from productive ones to trolls to everything. One thing that I realized, besides people thinking they're tough because they're on the internet and they're anonymous, is that a lot of people enter conversations with what they've already had conversations with other people. So whether it's something they heard on TV or something they friends say or whatever, or they read online, they bring that into the conversation and they project that on you every time. So and like literally the last few days, because as the season's getting ready to start, the conversations and the stuff is starting back up. So like the other day, I had somebody, I don't even remember who we was talking about, but he was like, yeah, and I bet if Josh Allen did that or Justin Herbert did that, you be singing his praises or you wouldn't even bat an eye. I'm like, we've never talked before. This is our first interaction. You don't know me at all. Why do you think I would feel that way about Justin Herbert? We weren't even talking about Justin Herbert. We were talking about another quarterback, but he felt that, oh, if Justin Herbert did that, you make an excuse for him. I'm like, how? How do you know? Why would you even think to say that? So a lot of people bring those conversations in, and they feel like if you aren't treating everybody on the equal plane, then it's unfair. You've been a hater, which is fine. But the problem is you're projecting other people's discussion on me. And that happens a lot. That happens a lot of times. People bring up points and I'm like, I never said that. Yeah, but people like you tend to think that's what you get. Same thing in politics and all that. I've heard people who criticize Lamar, so you must think the same way. So everybody generalizes. That's one part. The other part is the racial part. We talked about that before too. And obviously you got the fans, the homers, but for whatever reason, Lamar gets this very polarizing discussion because I think a lot of people just completely I don't want to say coddle. I know a lot of people are saying that, but I think a lot of people in the sports media completely just make excuses for them that they won't make for other people. So again, it's not fair or objective, at least across the board. But we know how that goes. Everybody's human. When somebody does something like a Russell Wilson, people going to react one way because they don't like Russell Wilson. If somebody like Mahomes does the same thing, most people will be fine. Even Brady back then. But when Brady started to win too much, now when he does something, no, I take it a different way. Or we like such and such, so when they do it, that's okay. So they really like Lamar, and people are like, his teammates love him and stuff. Okay, the Bears all love Justin Fields. That don't mean anything. But I think a lot of the media likes Lamar for whatever reason. There's a lot of people that protect him on the racial part. And so I do think he's definitely had some biased coverage in that way. So I point that out all the time, especially because it's very apparent that he's not a great passer. He wasn't a great passer in college. He's not a great passer now. And so, of course, people will go to the numbers, they'll go to the accolades and stuff. But you just listen to people talk, and you could see in the sentences they say, without trying to say it directly, they are trying to have at least some credibility and call out that he's not a elite passer. That's their favorite thing. He's not an elite passer. No, let's just say what it is. He ain't close to elite. He ain't great either. And he hasn't been. And so that's been my kind of critique, is just call it what it is. And for me personally, when we're talking about quarterbacks, this discussion of like playing out of the pocket and off schedule, it really focuses around Aaron Rodgers. That's where it actually focuses. But it started before him with Randall Cunningham, with Steve Young, with obviously Michael Vick, and even the person literally before Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. But Aaron Rodgers took it to a point where you really had the perfect blend of off schedule and on schedule. And that influenced this generation of quarterbacks. And so people always incorrectly put it on Mahomes or someone else. No, this generation are Mahomes himself. They're Aaron Rodgers' disciples. But anyway, that discussion can be a little old school versus new school. It can be a little racial, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean that we want to say quarterback play can look like any way we want and you can be an elite quarterback. I don't agree with that. That I push back, and that's probably one of the biggest issues people probably would have with me if they actually had a conversation. The quarterback position is the quarterback position. This isn't an opinion. This is a fact. It's science. The game is a game of inches and seconds. You have finite space on the field. You have finite time on the field. So because of that, being able to play from the pocket on time will always be the most efficient way to play quarterback. It won't be the only effective way, but the highest level of quarterbacks, you have to be able to throw a pass on time, reading defense, under pressure. Otherwise, all these other factors come into it. And so for me, and again, there's people that are just going, everybody's great. Everybody's elite. If anybody's even a little good, they're elite. I am a very thorough evaluator when it comes to football or anything else. That's just my background. So I'm very specific when we evaluate. And I'm a draft guy. That's where this channel was started. I've been doing the draft forever. I'm very specific when I evaluate. So giving out a 5 out of 5 is not common. Giving elite is not common, and it's not supposed to be. So when you tell me this guy's an elite quarterback and he can't do elite quarterback things, I'm going to tell you he's not elite. And again, people take any criticism as hating. So that's kind of been my whole thing with Lamar leading up to this. And then the obvious, in the playoffs, he's been bad. And that is so, it is so easy to see, but yet everybody, whether you're a fan of his or not, everybody keeps talking in circles like it's a complicated discussion. The Ravens, prior to Lamar and throughout Lamar's career, entire career, have been top 5 rushing and defense. Top 5 rushing offense, yards per game. Top 5 defense, opponent scoring per game. That's the DNA. Lamar didn't play in 2000 when they won the Super Bowl. That's the DNA. Or 2001, whichever one. That's their DNA. And so Lamar came into a system where, well, he came into a team that changed their system for Lamar. Won MVP. So everybody talking about how great he was. They figured it out a little bit. They changed it up. Eventually, the coordinator who completely changed his offense to make Lamar win MVP gets blamed for holding back Lamar. So the Lamar conversation always gets hypocritical, and I hate hypocrisy. It gets on my nerves. So they be like, well, Lamar was held back with this offense. He wasn't able to pass and develop. How is that true when you also are arguing with me when I say he's not an elite passer? So you arguing he's an elite passer, but you're also arguing he wasn't developed and the offense held him back, or that he never had top targets. That's why he didn't get the benefit that a Mahomes got. Okay. Yeah, and again, it only matters when they want it to matter. So the same things that they don't even think about with other quarterbacks, they call them trash. But when it comes to Lamar, we're going to look at all the nuances. But anyway, it's hypocrisy. So he got in that system, and the system was made for Lamar. I was arguing with a Raven fan about this. Like, they were saying, I'm like, bro, okay. Lamar did not start his rookie year. He came in when Flacco got hurt. Last time I checked, the offense did not look like that when Flacco was playing. So you are telling me that the offense was just a trash offense, or a quarterback power run offense, and Lamar stepped into it randomly? No, they completely changed the offense because of Lamar, not in spite of. And so Lamar was successful in that. Then they start to see the downfall of it when they got to the playoffs. Once you got against good teams and you had to be one-dimensional and you had to play from behind, Lamar was put in pass situations and he was bad. And so he's gotten better each year. Famously, I should say, we know, what was it? It wasn't last year. Was it last year? Either way, when he was like, I'm going to be in the pocket. Like, I'm going to prove to these people I'm going to be in the pocket. And I gave him credit even that year. I was like, he committed to the work. And he's gotten better. And so they, fired the offensive coordinator, brought in new offense. Still was pretty much the same. They passed a little bit more. Still the number one rushing offense. And Lamar got to the playoffs and he was Lamar. And I'm not saying, now, to me, my thing is, when you talk about Lamar in the playoffs, many people take that as me saying it's a mental thing. And some people are saying that. That's not my point. My point is competition goes up. The Ravens play best when they are given a short field by the defense because of turnovers or punts, and they have a lead because they can run the ball, play action, simple passes. That's the formula. It's very easy to see. When they get against good competition, they get in the playoffs, and they're not able to have those types of games, then it all falls apart. So when you go against the Chiefs and Mahomes is not giving you a bunch of turnovers, when they are not giving you short fields and you got to drive the entire field, when they go up and you're now behind and you got to be a passing team, that's when it falls apart. So that's been the conversation. Now, as of last night, what would I say? I would say I was impressed with Lamar. I think he's gotten better, but I feel the same way I did when I said that last time. He's gotten better and he's grown. He's still not that level of quarterback. And again, the people that keep bringing up the rushing, it's not just passing. What are you talking about? It's a quarterback. Yes. I mean, it ain't just passing, but passing is number one. That is the job of a quarterback. So, yes, it's nice that he's a dual threat. It's nice. Yes, he's an elite dual threat. Probably the best since Vic. Probably the best ever. That does not make you an elite quarterback. And so, again, by my definition, that's not what I'm seeing. But I am seeing him get better, and I recognize that. And so last night, my takeaways were he's finally in an NFL offense. And again, I'm not saying that like it's the Ravens' fault because nobody was crying about it when he won MVP the first time. He wasn't crying about it. And even now, and I was surprised because his comments and even the way he played last night and everybody else's comments after the playoffs made it all about rushing again. Oh, you got to be this rusher. Oh, my dangerous weapons, my legs. If I had my legs, we would have won that game. And it's like everybody is still focusing on the wrong thing. And so, yes, he's a 10 times better version of Justin Fields. If you are a Bears fan and you listen to me, you know how I told you exactly what was going to happen with Justin Fields, and it did. You get into that groove as an athletic player or quarterback where it's like running is the only thing that works for me. F it. And they started to believe I can be a quarterback by running. Yeah, you can. You can be effective. You can win games, but you're not going to consistently go for championships because that only works in certain situations. So last night I was surprised to see because I thought, okay, well, we're going to go kind of turn the clock back, lean even more into the run. And even though he had 100-some yards rushing, it was a lot of it was scrambling. And it's the offense that he was running, setting protections, audibling out of plays, going into empty, getting people lined up. That's not something that we've seen from Lamar a lot. That's just not the offenses he's been in. And it's the exact same conversation with any spread quarterback coming out of college. Now, these quarterbacks are a little different. A little different. They still got that spread issue, and I've been talking about that for years. But the difference is they got all this training available to them outside of the team. And so much like receivers, they are getting better at some of the technical things. But in Lamar's era and previous to him, these quarterbacks came in never under center. They don't know how to even call a play because it was all on the sideline. And so all these technical aspects of being a quarterback, it was just all dumbed down. So when people talk about, well, what does Tom Brady mean they dumbed it down? That's what he's talking about. Spread offense dumbed down football. And these quarterbacks came into the NFL not knowing how to play an NFL style offense. And instead of cutting their teeth, grinding, the impatient society said, let's start just giving them an offense that they recognize. That's exactly what they did for Lamar Jackson. That's exactly what they did for Justin Fields in the middle of his second year during the bye, where they said, hey, let's just make this a Ravens offense because apparently we can't pass, so let's just run the ball and use our quarterback like another running back. And so that's what happens. And so over time, you fizzle out, most do, or you get better. And he's gotten better each year, and I give him credit as a quarterback. He's always gotten better. And this year, I think it's finally at a place where it's like we have to take the training wheels off and let's see. And like I said, I respected him the year he said, I'm going to be a pocket passer. He said, I'm going to force myself to get better at this. And I respect that. And he's gotten better. And this last night, I never seen this Lamar in the offense. So I was happy to see that at least right now, it seems this year, they're going to let him play quarterback and grow up. Yes, he can still scramble. And like I said, quarterback runs, but a lot of scrambles was a lot of those yards. And he can always do that. But in between that, he's going to give you a real offense. And I thought this game was so much more competitive, not only because the Ravens defense isn't as good, which I said that, but nobody wanted to believe. But also because I think the Chiefs offense or the Ravens offense was better. The Ravens offense was a little more multi-dimensional. So it's not, hey, sit back, wait for Lamar to scramble or run it down your throat. Those were the only two options for a long time, then play action. Now it's like we can spread it out. We could go empty. We could go quick. We could dump it out of the backfield. We could play. It was a little more multi-dimensional, and I think that made it more competitive because any other time the Ravens get down by 10 against the Chiefs, I don't think they even score again, let alone make it a competitive game. But they have finally started to evolve and let Lamar do those things. Even with all that being said, it still is true. His accuracy is inconsistent. Now, a lot of times, the casual fans talk about trash, bad, good, blah, blah, blah. And most of the time, 99% of the time, with NFL athletes, they are the top athletes. It's not that they don't have it, it's who can be consistent. And that's one thing with Lamar where I feel his ability to read defense has visibly gotten better from even last year, but his accuracy is still inconsistent. So that doesn't mean he can't throw an accurate ball, because once you say that, people look at this pass, what you mean he's not accurate? Consistency. And so I don't really personally care if it's the last 2 plays, 3 plays, because that's what everybody's going to talk about, and they are important. But there's other plays in the game before that where the accuracy and consistencies derailed the offense. And so, once again, you're going to have those people, or the O-line, well this, well the play call, what this, what this, what this. Yes, it's a team game. All that matters. But we're talking about Lamar. And so, when it's, again, other quarterbacks, people don't seem to see any of that. But when it's a quarterback they're defending, now they bring up all the nuances. And they matter. But we're talking about Lamar. And when I'm talking about Lamar, as I said, I recognize all these things. I'm impressed by what I saw. That doesn't change the fact that there still those issues that have made his playoff performances lacking. And those issues are when you're against the tight coverage, when you're under pressure, when you're behind, and those inconsistent accuracies or those bad reads have shown up. We saw some of that still last night. Now, that doesn't mean, again, it's a matchup thing. That's another thing. It's a matchup. Yes, the competition is harder in the playoffs, but it's still a matchup thing. Like, at the end of the day, Texans could be good. Happen to not be a great run defense. What you think gonna happen against the Ravens? So it's still a matchup thing. But the point is, at any point in the regular season or playoffs or Super Bowl, you can be set into a situation where you have to be passing offense, and you have to be able, and the best ones are able to deliver when we have to be a passing offense. Everyone knows we have to be a passing offense, and I got to make these throws consistently. Those are the best quarterbacks. And so this year, Ravens might never get in that situation again. But if they do, that's when Lamar hasn't shown up. And we have to see. Now, last night, again, he kind of, he got him to the doorstep. That it is what it is. And he very much could have got them. Now, me, I don't care about touchdown because everybody forget about 2-point, which tells me everybody was ready for a moral victory, because nobody talks about the 2-point. The 2-point ain't guaranteed. So that, because people are already saying, oh, they were a toe away from winning. No, they were not. They were a toe away from having a chance to tie it up or win. And so that tells me it was going to be a moral victory if they went for 2 and missed it, because people are already treating it like a moral victory. But either way, Lamar got you there and he didn't deliver. But we'll see going forward in the playoffs, if they get into these passing situations again, how he'll be able to go. And I think a season of him operating a full NFL offense is going to prepare him better. But accuracy is a tricky thing. He's got to be able to get that together. And so for me, again, I look at last night. I come away impressed by Lamar. And that's another thing. People act like it's a personal shot. I've never met Lamar, don't know him. Why do I need to have a personal vendetta against him? And again, people a lot of times talk to fans, other fans, so they think you just hating because that's not your team. I could be a Ravens fan and I would talk the same way. I am a Bears fan and I talk the same way about Justin Fields. Like, whether you believe, because someone doesn't agree with you, people want to say you're being biased, blah blah blah. But if you're actually a fan of this channel, you know I'm objective because I love football, period. So it's nothing against Lamar. I've always called out when I'm impressed by what he's done, but he's had the shortcomings, and he's taken a step this year, and I'm excited to see what he's gonna do. So that's the actual conversation about Lamar Jackson. The one you're not gonna hear on TV, the one that most people not actually gonna talk about, the fair conversation. So that's it for me. Go down comment section, let me know what you think, share it around, get the conversation started, and thank you for listening.